Take a cork and hold it under the water. You got a picture of that? That's how most people are living. The cork wants to float, but you're not going to let it float right now. The cork will float. Its natural state is to float. But you're doing something unnatural to it. You're holding it under the water. Just like you do something unnatural by blaming someone, by hating someone, by feeling inferior. These are unnatural emotions. They feel normal because so many people are doing them. But as far as your natural energy goes, it's unnatural. So when you let go of the cork, it bobs to the surface. That's as complicated as this subject is. We know you to be reasonable people. So let's say that you've decided to put a swimming pool in your backyard, and the contractor comes to you and he says, we can go about digging this hole in 2 ways. And he shows you a picture of a great big old digger machine, a backhoe, that with this, we can dig this hole in 2 days. And then he pulls a teaspoon out of his pocket and he says, we could use this too. It'll take a little longer. It's up to you. I'll follow your lead. You'd say, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Or you'd say, well, a lot of people have a hard time with this decision. A lot of people, they'd rather go about it the impossible way rather than use the tool that will really get the job done. We are making fun of you. We're making fun of the human resistance to tapping into your power. Now, why would someone resist tapping into their own power? Well, maybe you don't know your power's there. Maybe you don't know your inner being exists. Maybe you don't know about the energy that creates worlds. And since we do know all of these things, it seems incredulous to us that anybody would not want to tap into their own power. And somebody said, it's hard. And we say, you've got to be kidding. It's hard to focus. Is that hard? Is it hard to hear the air conditioner? So why wouldn't you be willing to focus on that for a minute? Well, it's boring and you think that you want to be more engaged. Well, what if by quieting your mind and being less engaged, you could tap into the energy that creates worlds and tap into your true power? Don't you think you'd be willing to listen to that for a minute? So we know if you've never done it and someone says, do it, and you say, no, I've never done it. And someone says, well, it's a good idea if you do it. And you say, well, it's hard for me. I can't do it. If you've never done it, then it seems like an equal argument. Well, it's a good idea. Don't want to. It's a good idea. Don't want to. It's a good idea. Don't really want to. It's a good idea. I know, but I think I'll pass on it for now. But if you, in a weak moment when your resistance was way down, you decided to focus on that, and you actually felt the relief of all the struggles and worries in your body falling away. And you actually felt the detachment of your physical beingness from all the resistant problems of the world. And you felt the vibration of your being rise. And then in that base of true freedom, an idea just softly came across your mind that lit you up and felt like a good idea. Not a life-changing, write a book and save the world idea. An idea of go get a milkshake, or the idea of get in your car and go over here. An idea of pick up the phone and call this person. For Esther, move that piece of furniture over there. Just something that just seems like a really good idea. And you follow through with that, and in the process of moving that piece of furniture over there, you meet one of the most delightful people you've ever met in your life, who is seeking everything that you have to know, and you end up having one of those most meaningful conversations of your lifetime, because coming out of meditation you had the thought about moving some furniture around. Then you catch on that your inner being is guiding you through the path of least resistance, but you've got to be willing to find the path. And when someone says, it's hard for me to meditate, what we hear them say is, I know there's a path out there, but I'm not looking for it right now. I've got a teaspoon in my pocket that's serving me just fine. The argument for not doing it comes from ignorance. It comes from not understanding that you are an extension of source energy, not understanding that your inner being is aware of you and focused upon everything you want. Ignorance about the law of attraction and the power of it. It's just lip service that people offer. Do you know what it really may be? It might be this. It is this. It's exactly this. It's this. It's this. People believe that they must struggle and suffer in order to have gain. And so, really, I just have to sit there and do nothing? That doesn't make any sense. I've been taught my whole life. You got to work the hardest, and you got to be the best, and you got to be seen in the best light. So much has been taught to so many who have not been under the influence of the love of their source. They've been under the influence of other humans who need them to do stuff because they're not under the influence of their source. Think about it. If you don't know about source energy, aren't you going to try to gather a bunch of humans together and convince them to do your bidding? You need to not be selfish, they will say to you. Don't do what feels best to you. You need to follow these rules that feel best to me. And it's surprising that you don't say, wait, that feels off to me. I don't get to be selfish, but you do. And so it's a hard sell for us because humans, they've done a number on you. You don't expect it to be easy because you've been digging swimming pools with teaspoons for so long that that's your orientation. And so when someone says, oh no, there's a better way, you say, well, I haven't seen it. You'll have to show that to me before I believe that. Well, with swimming pools, you believe it because you've seen it. But that's not a good criteria. We want so much for you to not need to see something before you believe it. That's what's slowing you down. If you will believe it, then you will see it. But if you need to see it before you believe it, then you get all confused because there's so much to see and everybody's got a different spin on what they did and everybody's got their own axe to grind. You've got to be your own self-advocate and you've got to be your own case study. You got to show yourself what this emotion yields for you and what this emotion yields for you and what this thought brings what emotion and what that thought brings what emotion. You got to be your own case study. You got to show yourself what alignment feels like and what misalignment feels like, what calibrating to the power of source energy feels like, and what calibrating against it under the influence of something else feels like. You've got to get into alignment with who you are before you can begin to confront some of these larger conversations like money or like God or like love. It's important that you calibrate yourself, but once you do, then everything becomes clearer and easier for you to see. You didn't come to struggle. You came to enjoy the attraction that your focus accomplishes. So we want to ask you, we'll be very brief about this, but as you're moving through your day-to-day experience, and this answer is not always the same answer. We're just asking you from right here and now where you are standing. Are you wanting to be more what humans call grounded, which is of this world and understanding the way energy plays in this world? Or are you wanting to leave your physical grounding and escape or move to the higher energies? You're mixed in it. So here's what we want you to understand about that. You are here in these bodies for a reason. And you cannot be other than grounded because you are here in this physical body where there are things for you to explore. We want you to embrace your, what you might want to call groundedness. If you can't take those energies and focus them into something that feels meaningful to you here in this body, you're missing the point of being here in this body. You're not here to prove something. You're not here to fix something. You're not here to undo something. You're not here being tested. You are magnificent creators in the most delicious environment in which to create. Because here, on this leading edge, creative genius that you are, your thoughts turn to things. Your thoughts turn to experiences and to sensations and to the manifestations of emotions. Your thoughts turn to evidence of things. Your thoughts turn to material things, to experiences. You are here on this leading edge because you are a physical being in physical environment who have intended to have physical creations. And all of this conversation about energy can sometimes lead you into a place different than what you intended. In other words, when you calibrate yourself to the vibration of your inner being, you know what your inner being is thinking about? Life on planet Earth. When you calibrate yourself to your inner being, you know what your inner being is thinking about? Things that you've been asking about that are physical in nature that you put into your vortex. Your inner being is thinking about your financial remuneration. Your inner being is thinking about your relationships with your girlfriends and your boyfriends. Your inner being is thinking about your relationships with your children and your employers. Your inner being is thinking about the things that you're inventing and discovering. Your inner being is thinking about your rendezvous. Your inner being, hear this, is thinking about what pleasure you might have in this moment as you allow yourself to rendezvous with the things that you have put into your vortex. So when we talk to you about physical and non-physical inner being and you, when we talk to you about your emotions, when we talk to you about your point of attraction, your true point of attraction, which is where your inner being stands, we do not seek to split you up. We seek to bring you together. But when we bring you together, when you come into vibrational concert with your inner being while you're here in this physical body, do you know what that concert of you and you is focused upon? Life on planet Earth. It's about living with each other and loving each other and acknowledging each other and uplifting each other. It's about seeing the things that make you feel like you want to praise them. It's about happy. It's about evolution. It's about expansion. It's about more. It's about color. It's about brightness. It's about sound. It's about music. In other words, don't let yourself think that all of this conversation that we have, while it's spiritual in nature and vibrational nature, don't let it distract you from the importance of you being here in this physical body. You're supposed to be here in this physical body, and you're supposed to like being here in this physical body. You're supposed to like your physical body. You're supposed to feel honored about being physical in this time and space. And the more you calibrate to who you really are, the more you will know all of these things, the more you will feel it. Esther, before she took her walk yesterday, she was doing her segment intending. And she always writes things that include feelings. And so she wrote, I love the feeling of this sweet air on my face, in my mouth, and in my lungs. I love smelling and feeling and eating this air. And then she said, I love meeting and knowing all these little critters who live on this loop, who often don't show themselves to me, but I know they're there. In other words, she was activating and salivating over her co-creators that she knew were going to be out here on this loop with her this day. She wrote more about other things, but as she's walking the loop, right away, the fragrance in the air was uniquely not fragrant in the sense that it was flowers. It was fragrant in the sense that there was enough moisture in the air that she could smell the ocean in it. And so she just sort of took it in. She felt her entire body rising to the deliciousness of that, like never before. And she knew for sure it was because she got out ahead of it and got herself prepared to recognize it when it met her. She was not reaching to be joyful. She was joyful in her writing. She didn't write to be joyful. She wrote because she is joyful. Can you feel the difference? This segment intending is about how I feel now. I feel loved. I feel blessed. I feel sure. I feel eager. I feel happy. I feel whole. I feel vibrant and alive. Can you feel what that's doing? It's activating her vibrational point of attraction. Then anything that is a vibrational match to how she feels must show itself to her. So Esther's been moving around life. She's been feeling pretty much that way for a long time, and life's been very, very good to her. But it is, so much more satisfying when she identifies something, as we're wanting to get you to do, identifies something, activates it in her vibration, savors it, writes words around it, sits and contemplates how those words feel, calibrating, and then deliberately moves out in the world so that the world can show her that it heard her calibration, that it honors her calibration, that it recognizes her calibration, that it is responding to her calibration. You are the creator of your own reality because you are the calibrator of your own vibration. You just got to accept that you are and do something about it.